Hey, 6th grade, Miss Hollenbeck here, in my third and final attempt to get a reteach video for you. My husband's computer will let me make a longer video, but it's so stupid to try to get it uploaded. It's just a mess. So anyway, it's going to be short and to the point. We're starting a unit on verbs, and we take a look at verbs after our sentence unit because verbs are the most important tool that you can use in building a sentence. Now, I could get by with saying that because the verb, you have to have a visible verb in every sentence. You don't have to have a visible subject. Also, verbs do many jobs within the sentence. Let me just give you a brief rundown of just a few of their jobs. They can show an action. Okay, I go back. The verb is like the Swiss Army knife. It has so many different things it can do. You know, it can show action. We're going to talk about more. We're going to talk about action verbs more in a minute. It can link something in the predicate portion of the sentence to something in the subject portion of the sentence. So it can act like a bridge. It can show existence. It can tell time. It tells the time within the sentence. Now, you probably somewhere in your mind kind of understood that, but maybe not. This could be a new thing to you. The verb tells the time. It can tell if the action is happening now, if it happened yesterday, or if it'll happen in the future. Not only does it tell basic time, but it can tell specific time. The verb can tell us when an action began and when it will end. I will have studied 5 hours by the time Friday rolls around, or by the time the test rolls around. So we know that the action began in the past, but will end in the future. Okay? So, or will have been studying. Yeah, that's what I meant. Anyway, kind of cool. You can also verbs can also tell the voice of a sentence. That's kind of challenging to understand, so we might just touch on that briefly, or you'll touch on it next year. Voice specific time. Oh, and then the verb works with the subject on telling if we're talking about more than one subject. The subject and the verb have to agree if they're going to be singular, and they have to agree if they're going to be plural. Okay? So the subject and verb work together on that. But verb, a lot of responsibility. So let's talk about it. The first two we're going to talk about are the action and the linking. Now, if you happen to have that verb cheat sheet that I gave you, that little baby's going to come in mighty handy. It's the one with the color coding. You know, I think it has like yellow and then, I don't know, yellow, some other color, green maybe, then pink and then blue or something like that. Anyway, I hope you can find that. It's going to help you tons. Action verbs. Action verbs are verbs that you can see in your mind's eye. You could see them happening, or you can do them. They typically have verb endings like ed, ing, en, t, or just n. Okay? These are action verbs. Mrs. Hollenbeck rode the train home. She stood the majority of the way. The bus was so crowded. She walked to this train station. It began raining. Mrs. Hollenbeck ate dinner. Mrs. Hollenbeck is videotaping a reteach. Okay? Those are all action verbs. You could see that action in your mind's eye. You know how I frequently say, can you do that down the hall? Can you without down the hall? Well, of course you can't without down the hall, because without is a preposition. Okay? So, can you yell down the hall? Sure, action verb. Can you run down the hall? Sure, action verb, but don't do that. Okay? Those are action verbs. On page 77 of your homework, you're going to be looking for, in the first 4 sentences, you're going to be writing down all the action verbs. Okay? All the things you could see in your mind's eye. You could see the subject performing that action. Okay? I'm going to drink coffee. I'm drinking my required 10 cups of coffee. All right? Linking verbs. How do we distinguish the action verb from the linking verb? Okay, well, let me give you a sentence. This should be review. All right, we talked about this when we talked about the complement portion of the sentence, because the verbs are one of its responsibilities is to act as a bridge, linking something in the predicate, the complement, to the subject. We're going to link the complement to the subject. We're going to bridge that gap between the two so that our linking verb acts as an equal sign. Remember how we underline it twice and it looks like an equal sign? So here's my sentence. Mrs. Hollenbeck is my teacher. Okay? Now, we can substitute the word equals right in between or right after Mrs. Hollenbeck. Mrs. Hollenbeck equals teacher. And that makes sense. That tells me that teacher is being linked to Mrs. Hollenbeck. And the word is acting as a bridge. Okay? To bridge these two words together, to connect them together. Okay? Now, on page 78, you're going to be asked to put in a linking verb in the sentence. And then you're going to be asked, okay, which two words are being linked? What's the subject and what behind your linking verb is being linked to the subject? I think the first sentence is a quote from Scripture, John, I forget the chapter, maybe 14, where he says, I am the vine, or I am the true vine. Okay? I is my subject. You have to provide the verb. There's the linking verbs little oval that, and it has linking verbs that you choose from. I gave you the answer to that one. It's a direct quote. It's am, I am, and then the third blank is what you're going to write down what is being linked to the subject. Okay? So in that example, it would be vine. I equals vine. Okay? Makes sense? That's what you're doing page 78 for exercise A. Now, on exercise B, as you practice with some verbs that can be either action or linking. Let me give you an example. I tasted the chili at dinner time. The chili tasted delicious. Okay? Now, you can see Miss Hollenbeck gobbling down that chili, right? Tasting that chili. Plus, Miss Hollenbeck has a tongue, so I can actually taste that chili. Okay? I have the equipment to perform the action. Therefore, it is an action verb. The second sentence, the chili tasted delicious. Does a chili have the ability to perform that action? Of course not. It doesn't have a little tongue. All right? So if it can't perform that action, it isn't performing any action. The verb is a linking verb. Okay, linking delicious to chili. See, delicious is describing chili. Okay, let's try another one. Feel. Mrs. Hollenbeck felt her scarf. The scarf feels soft. Okay. Mrs. Hollenbeck, you could see me performing that action, right? Feeling the scarf with my fingers. But the scarf can't perform that action, so it's not. The verb is linking an adjective, linking the adjective soft to the subject, scarf. Okay? How about look? Oh, Mrs. Hollenbeck looked at the cheesecake. It looked very tempting. Mrs. Hollenbeck has eyes, so she could perform that action. She did look at it. That's an action. But the cheesecake can't. It doesn't have eyes. It can't perform any action. All right. So when in the second sentence, look is being used as a linking verb. Tempting is being linked to cheesecake. Okay? So, you're going to be practicing that in exercise B. Now, if it is, in exercise B, if it is a linking or action verb, you just write action in the first blank and you're done. If it's a linking verb, you have to write linking, and then you have to write the two words, the subject, and the word behind the predicate, behind the italicized word that is being linked to the subject. All right, just put down the two words that are being linked, like I and vine. I equals vine. Mrs. Hollenbeck equals teacher. This sort of thing. Okay. Then in exercise C, you're writing 8 sentences. They give you 4 verbs, and you have to use them as an action verb and then a linking verb. Okay? And I gave you examples of that. So review the video if you need to, okay, to get those example sentences. All right? Find that verb cheat sheet. It's going to help you a ton. All right? Talk to you later. Bye now.